Hey there, Nick Dudakis here. In this video, we're going to go over using a command line password manager called Pass. It's available on multiple distros of Linux, WSL2, macOS, and more. Personally, I've been using it for about 7 years now, and I have over 300 different passwords, API keys, licenses, config files, and other secrets that I want to encrypt. It all uses GPG key pairs under the hood here to do the encryption and decryption. It's fully offline, so your secrets and vaults or whatever are not going to be stored anywhere. And since it's all just text files and directories, it is compatible with Git. You can actually initialize a pass directory with or without Git. So if you wanted to sync it up somewhere, you could totally do that. And again, since it's just text files, like if you just want to drop that onto like an external drive locally or something like that, you are good to go to do that. So throughout this video, we're going to go over installing and using Pass, initializing it, playing around with a whole bunch of different commands here. But before I jump into that, and no, this is not going to be an advertisement, we're actually just going to look at some of the output here so you can get a better sense of how this tool works in like 1 minute instead of, me running some commands and demoing it out here. And it is a command line tool, but it does have optional extensions for different browser plugins and things like that. I personally just exclusively use it from the command line, so that's what we're going to focus on in this video. But in this page here, which I'll link, this is their official documentation. I'll link to here, and they have some links for different other extensions if you want to, integrate it with Alfred on macOS and some other stuff as well. So yeah, you can just run Pass here, and it is going to output all the entries that you have. So since everything is just a file on disk with directories, and you can categorize these however you want, you kind of get this nice little tree view of the output here. And then, if you want to get a specific password or secret for a specific entry here, you can see you can just put in the path. And what's really cool too is you do get some shell completion here, so you can tab complete all the stuff here. So in this case, we want to get our password for email, and then it's going to output the password there. Now, in my day-to-day, I tend to use this next example here where I put the -c flag in, which is going to just copy this password right to your clipboard here, and then it disappears from your clipboard in 45 seconds, and whatever you had there previously will be put back on the clipboard. This is really nice because it prevents outputting your password to standard out here. Nobody's going to see it in the terminal if someone's like, over your shoulder, but more conveniently, how I end up using this in my day-to-day is like, let's say I go to a website and my password isn't being auto-filled or saved in my browser. Well, I just drop into the command line, put in the entry like this, and now it's copied to my clipboard, so I can just paste it in, and we are good to go. What's really nice though is it also supports this idea of multi-line entries. So, in this case, we are just retrieving a specific line here that's 1 line long. And when you insert a password here or token or whatever you want to save here, you just do pass insert, put the path in, whatever. And then, it is going to prompt you to put in whatever password that you want for it, and it gets saved. And when you do something like the -c flag, it is going to grab the first line of whatever you inserted. So with multi-line, you can have, and I don't know if they actually show an example, we're going to see it in a couple minutes here, but with multi-line, you may want to save something like an API key pair that has maybe like a public key and private key component. Quite a few different services have that, or maybe you just have a config file that you want to save. Like, I've got my PyPy config file that's like 15 lines long in there. It has a couple of different tokens in there. Well, multi-line is perfect for that because it'll just save the whole thing as one entry. And you can combine that with -c here, and that is just going to pull out the first line of whatever is in there. So typically, if I have something like a website that I sign up to, and I also have API keys associated with it, well, then maybe I'll add the whole entry together, but on the first line, I'll make sure to have my password to log into the site here, and then everything else will go below that. So really, you can do whatever you want here. Again, just text files. Another neat little feature too is that Pass can randomly generate a password for you. If you want to, you can just do pass generate, for whatever entry that you want, put in how many characters that you want. I don't know what it defaults to. We'll look at the man pages later, but then it's going to actually create the entry for you with like inserting, but you don't need to even put in the password. It's going to generate one for you. And you can even pass in some different flags to generate to just deal with, like, maybe you just want to have a specific character set like A to Z with numbers. Maybe you don't want any special characters in there. You can do that here. Yeah, perfect, right? No symbols. Done. You can also remove stuff with RM, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. We're going to get into all this stuff, not important now, but yeah, if you want to download it though, you can download it using the instructions here for whatever distro or operating system that you have here. I've just apt installed it into my WSL2 setup here, but you can see with Macs, you can do a brew install or whatever, maybe other package managers are available. You can also just grab the tarball over here as well. It's also available on Git. So if you want to clone it, mess around with it, go check it out. But yeah, down here somewhere, there are different extensions for this tool and different clients. So there is a Chrome plugin here and some other plugins as well for Alfred, whatever, if you're using macOS there. Cool. And then also there is a dmenu script as well for native Linux users. If I ever go native Linux eventually, then I will probably be using this because I have used dmenu in the past and it's quite nice. But yeah, that's about it for the high level overview. Let's jump into this tool and actually start playing around with it. Now, everything is encrypted, but it's still interesting because I wouldn't want to show necessarily all the sites that I've been to and have passwords for. For example, if we go back over here, if I just ran this against my main password manager for pass, like the directory where I've initialized things for, you're going to see literally like every account I have, and like it's going to leak all sorts of different things. So what's really neat about this tool though is it supports this one environment variable. Do I even have it available off the top of my head? Nope, we're going to go straight into the man pages here. Man pass there. So but it's somewhere down here. Yeah, cool. Okay. So there's a whole bunch of different environment variables that you can set. This is the one step that you're probably not going to want to do when you follow along, but this is the only different thing here. So I just want to customize where the pass tool is going to install, like basically initialize itself to, because it will by default drop a password store directory in your home directory. That's completely fine. That's where I have my normal stuff saved here, but I do not want to mess around with that one here on video. So I'm just going to export this to, I don't know, like a temp directory, right? Okay, let's go with temp like pass demo, I guess. Pass demo, done. So now when I run any commands with pass, it is going to operate in this brand new directory here that I'm going to throw away after this video here. So the first thing we need to do here though is initialize, and I'm assuming you've maybe installed things if you're following along already, depending on what operating system that you have. You need to initialize this password store directory, and there's a couple of different ways to do this. So when you do pass init, this is going to just create a new directory, make some files that it needs to have created, but you can also do a pass get init, which is going to make it a get repository as well. And you don't need to push it somewhere, but if you do the pass get init, then, and I guess we'll look at both, although personally I just use the get init one here. What do I need to do? Oh yeah, you have to put in your GPG key pair ID, duh. Okay, so in my case, mine happens to be just my email address, so you want to pop in whatever you want. And the reason I said duh there and knew it because it tells me right there. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, cool. So we can see it's been initialized to this temp directory here, not screwing around with my main one here. Nice. And yeah, what I was saying before about initializing with get, like every single time you make a modification to your password store, like if you add something, remove something or whatever, it will make a separate git commit for you. And you can then choose to add a git remote and push it somewhere if you want, but that pushing stuff is optional. Maybe, if I were to rewind time back 7 years, potentially I would put it in git just because it's a little bit more convenient for being able to get the old versions of maybe some of your passwords. That could be kind of handy to know, like, oh, I just changed my password to this. Like, it would be nice to see what the previous version was like 2 years ago or something like that if I ever wanted to, because then you can just check out that commit and go and look at it there. So we've got things initialized here, and if you just run pass with no arguments, and I think pass ls is maybe an alias to that one, there's nothing here. So we haven't added any passwords yet. So let's do the most basic case here and maybe just insert a new password here. And I don't know, you can name these things whatever you want. Like personally, I just go with sites here, which is where basically all of my websites are. And you can also have subdirectories too. And you need to use capitals. I just tend to use capitals for directories only with this tool because it's a nice distinction between what's a directory and what's an actual file. But yeah, let's just go with like example.com here. And you can see it is going to create that directory here. Because again, just, in fact, I think it might even be a shell script. I haven't looked at the source code in a while, but I'm pretty sure it is. But here, and now we can just type in our password and then confirm it. I literally just used the password to password, which we're about to find out now, because now if I just do pass, sites example.com here, it is going to output that as that. And then also, going back to what we said before with the -c, you can just do this. And now if I actually paste into my terminal here, I just paste into my password and that's it. Pretty nice. And let's say that, you put your password in maybe incorrectly, or maybe you tried to generate a password, but you did it beforehand using the pass tool, but the site says like, oh, you need to have like special characters or whatever, or something like that. You can just do this and, well, actually, sorry about that. You can do insert again. And insert will just ask you if you want to override an existing one. So if you do want to override it, then you can just, put in whatever you want here. Let's go with password. This time I added an exclamation point here at the end. So now if we go and retrieve this one, well, we will see that there's an exclamation point. You didn't see me type it, but yeah, that's basically that. Now there's other little things you can do too. Like for example, if you don't want this password here anymore, you can do an RM there to delete it. I'm just going to Control C out of that one because, this is kind of our working example for the video didn't want to delete that one right there. But yeah, let's take a look here using multiple lines, because it does work in kind of an interesting way. Nothing too crazy, but let's say like mysite.com or whatever. Let's do a different category, right? Like API like pypi.org or something. Maybe it's a multi-line config here. So when you do this, then it's still going to create this like normal, and it gives us some pretty good instructions here, right? Like basically we just hit Control D when we're finished. But you may choose to put like, I don't know if there's like a website component of this one, like, like hello123, like that's my super secure password. But then I'm just hitting enter here normally on the keyboard, and you may be like, API, like blah, 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 and maybe like private key, like, whatever, the values happen to be. You can just keep adding and adding and adding whatever you want. And then when you're done, you just do Control D and that's it. So now if we go and we go to retrieve this one over here, we can see that is going to just dump whatever you put in there, which is pretty nice. Yeah, I mean, I have some more lower tech clients where, I don't know, I have an assortment of things for them, like different email passwords and like, cloud provider stuff. And I don't want to make individual entries for all those little things. So I kind of just treat it as like, like a text file, and then they're all encrypted there. So that's how I see things like this. And, going back to this, with JASC, this is going to copy just the hello123 here to the clipboard here. If it's a multi-line file, we just see that. Now, there's all sorts of other different commands that you can run too as well. Like for example, you can do pass generate, right? Like we saw before. Like, let's just go with like another site.org this time. This is going to generate the actual entry for you and give you the password back immediately like this. If you do generate, I think with -C, then it is going to just copy that straight to the clipboard. So let's just, I don't know, put like a 123 in here or something, so we have something unique. And we can see right away, if I do paste it here, this is a new password that was to my clipboard. It's expected that it doesn't match here because this actually generated a completely separate entry here. I do not use this password generate feature that often. But now that I'm kind of playing around with it, it is not too bad, because I've done videos about this one in the past where I've made like this alias to create a password of whatever size that you want. Like, I don't know, let's say like 30. And then that just copies that to my clipboard, and then I can just paste it. So I sort of kind of like just having the password component decoupled from generating. I really wish that this generate command allowed me to do something like no output, or like something that wouldn't create the actual entry. But whatever, if you want to use this, you can. And there are quite a few different options for generate here. Let's take a look here at the man pages. I don't know them all off the top of my head here because I simply just don't use that command all the time. But you can see like no symbols. That's just gonna, A to Z, 0 through N, straight to the clipboard. You could force things, and you can also put in the length here. And in place, I guess, will be described over here somewhere. If in place or I is specified, do not interactively prompt, and only replace the first line of the password with the new generated password. Yeah, I guess maybe you can do this one, like if you wanted to update your password, it will just go and regenerate and possibly do that. Let's actually see how that one works, because, yeah, okay. So pass over here. We've already got this one. Actually, before I generate that, let's check it out, what it even is, like another site, 123.org. So it starts with greater than, less than. Okay, great. I don't know what is up. Is my up arrow actually broken? Like, I'm up arrowing. I don't know if you can hear that, but it is not doing anything, which is a little bit concerning. But it's clearly working because I'm going up, down, up, down, up, down. So for whatever reason, my shell history is totally broken. That's cool. Yeah, so what are we doing here? We are generating a new one with -I and just seeing what that output is. Okay. So let's do -I here. Let's not copy to there, and we'll see. Did it just overwrite this one? If we now, my God, I have to type this again. Okay. Yeah, are we going to get the one that starts with a Y now? Yeah, cool. So in place update, that's pretty handy actually. If you want to just change your password for an existing thing without being interrupted with like an interactive prompt. Nice. Okay, so let's actually see what else that we can play around here. We mentioned like the RM command to remove stuff, and ls is kind of just an alias for running it without things. Grep and find, and I think search are all different aliases here. Yeah, so what's pretty nice about this one is like if you do search like sites or something like that, then you'll just see all the different sites there. And technically though, this is going to be all of them. So you can imagine how grep works, where you can just filter things out. So like if I wanted to do a search for, or let's go with search, like find this time instead of using search, I can just do py like this, and it's only going to return back this one here. Kind of nice, just avoids you having to pipe something into grep to do that manually. I don't use that a ton, but it's available, which is kind of nice to know here. We went over things like inserting. You can edit things as well. If you just want to edit your password, generate stuff, you can RM stuff. You can, since we're just dealing with command line things here, right? You can move things. If you want to rename it, you can copy it. And there's some of the get stuff here. So yeah, let's just play around with like maybe moving something, right? So if you want to move the API py1, and by the way, like the shell complete is working, so I'm hitting tab and tab here. Nice. So let's like move that to, I don't know, let's maybe move it to sites, because maybe, it's going to have both a way to log in through a password and the config file itself. So we can do that, and that is going to rename it there. And now if we do a pass, we can see that the API directory has been cleaned up because there's nothing there that exists anymore. And since we move things with the move command, it just popped it in over here. Pretty cool. If you want to copy stuff, that's just going to, just allow you to copy things. So if we do sites py to, if I can type here, let's go with sites like another py or something. I don't know, like I actually do not use the copy command literally the first time I've ever ran it, because normally I'm just not copying things, I'm making new things, but let's see what happened here. Yeah, so it worked exactly how we expected there. There, it just copied things as we go. Cool, so let's take a look here at some more commands that we may want to play around with, if ever. So yeah, no, mostly it's just basically the get commands after that one. We can see some simple examples here. We kind of went over quite a few of these things. We can find things, we can search for things, we can add things. We can add things with multiple lines. We can generate passwords. If we want them to be longer or shorter, you just put the number after that, and it will generate them out. -n flag is only going to give you alphanumerics here. Pretty handy stuff. And then, extended get example here, right? So you can do a pass get init here, and that is going to initialize a new directory as get. And then if you want to add the origin, you could totally do that. And then if you want to push things to that origin, you can do this as well. Let's actually play with the get one. I'm not going to push it anywhere, but actually before we get there, is there anything interesting here to go over? So there's the store directory, so you can customize things if you'd like. You can override the default GPG key identification that you passed in during init if you want. You can adjust the clipboard time, kind of neat. 45 seconds is the default. I haven't really found a need to make that less or more, but it's there if you want. This could be handy just to generate passwords that are always a specific length that you want, like maybe 36 characters or whatever you want. Maybe you can, turn that into something where the value of this is dynamically generated to be random between 30 and 50 or whatever that you want here. You can also put in a custom character set for the passwords being generated. Could be interesting, I suppose, if you'd like. And then there's all sorts of different things around extensions and signing keys and other stuff. Again, I don't want to just read the man pages too. You can go and check this stuff out if you want here. But let me go and just blow out this entire directory that we did here. Past demo. Why? Because it's completely temporary and everything's on disk. So, now if you were to be like, oh, well, maybe I'm done using pass forever, that's it. You just RMF your directory here and you're good to go. But let's try doing this get init one now, just to see what happens here. And yes, I'll probably need to put in my ID here. Then no such file or directory, pass get init. What did I do wrong? Pass get init. We're initting. Is it init get, not get init? Let's see. Should that not do that? Why would that one have thrown? Well, hold on. They're not putting in the ID for get init. So how does it know what ID to use there? Okay, well, we're going to find out together here. So pass get init like this. No such file or directory. Do you need to make the directory beforehand when you do it like this one? So I do I need to actually temp pass demo? Oh my God, the upper arrow is killing me. Pass get init. Okay, okay. That makes sense, I guess. Done. So now we have a get directory in here, and if we go in here and take a look, then we have the get directory here with all sorts of different things, and everything is basically going to operate the same, except we're going to get commit messages when we do things. So if we do pass insert sites like hello.com or something like that, okay, pass insert sites hello.com. This didn't work. Why? Pass init your, okay, so I guess you have to init afterwards. Okay. I guess you need to, okay, I guess get init is just initializing the get repo, but then you still need to initialize pass itself. I think that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so let's actually do a get show in here and or get log and see what we have so far. So we've got that. So what does that even look like? Okay, cool. So now I think we're in good shape here. So if I do a pass insert like sites hello.com, let's say, of course it doesn't work. Why? Because we're recording a video. You must run pass init your GPT ID before you may use the password store. Pretty sure I just ran that a second ago. Let me also just do an env on pass. Was it just pass, I think? It's a scary one to do. Oh, sorry, grep pass, of course. Yeah, it's pass demo, and we're in pass demo now. So why exactly can't I do a pass insert again? Sites, hello. You must run get pass init URL. All right, I'll do it again. And then I'll wrap it up if this doesn't work. Maybe I typoed this potentially. Wish I could see the up arrow. Oh wait, error does not have a commit checked out. Does not have a commit checked out. I've actually never seen this error specifically. Maybe, I don't know. Set, okay. So now is it going to work? I don't know. Let's find out. Pass insert sites. I'm just gonna put 1 here. Okay, cool. Kind of scary in the sense that like, I don't really know what I did other than changing in and out of the directory. Maybe some of the maybe one of the commands that I ran modified that directory in such a way where like I just needed to get the refreshed version of it. Yeah, but yeah, let's take a look here at just what was done. So we have now added something. So let's see what the get show looks like for that commit here. Cool. So that didn't just put the password there, did it? Let me see, because I forgot literally what password I put in there. So let's do a get sites 1. Cool. So it does put the password unencrypted in the get history. I mean, if you wanted to see the previous versions of what you had, that's nice, but I would also think you would need to decrypt those to see them. Like I kind of expected the encrypted version to be there, but I don't want to really put that in plain text. No, I don't know. I feel like maybe I am using the get functionality incorrectly, because if you just push this to GitHub or somewhere, then like your password for that entry is going to be in plain text sitting there. And that's sort of not a good thing to have happen. So yeah, let's just make pretend that that didn't happen at all. So with that said, that's kind of a high level rundown of using the pass tool. Let me know in the comments below if you're going to be using it, or maybe you're already using it already. Like, what are some of your best tips for using the tool? If you have any questions about anything, I'll try to answer the best to my ability in the comments below. With that said, thanks a lot. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help a lot. And I will see you in the next one.